Existentialism by Ed Cullen. Existentialism, by dictionary definition, is a philosophical theory or approach which emphasizes the existence of the individual as a free and responsible agent, determining their own development through acts of the will. This describes the principalities, the basics, if you will, of existence that humankind seeks. It defies religion as it defies fate, claiming the individual is a responsible agent with free will. In a world taking its first collective steps away from religion as a basis for how to lead their own lives, the theory of existentialism is a new design for life. However, like a child crying at the loss of innocence, the acceptance or acknowledgement of existentialism weighs heavy on some. Yolande described some 4 ultimate concerns in 1980: death, freedom, isolation, and meaninglessness. The sentimentality of religions of old, the promise of a greater power's plan, the good of all men, and a cozy afterlife promised at the end. Existentialism denies these concepts and teaches Perhaps the opposite, festering a deep fear in the stomachs of those who cast off the shackles of religion. To fully embrace existentialism is to declare your own existence meaningless, a mere drop in the bucket. The fear that this concept is evocative of is near primal, ironic perhaps, considering it is derived from an intellectual and civilized theory. When the realization of meaninglessness is considered with the inevitability of death, it is a coarser, crueler notion, that despite the meaninglessness of life, by design you are doomed to rot away, and in such a short time, simply slip out of reality. Perhaps Keats spoke more eloquently on the subject than I. Supposed as forfeit to a confined doom, the mortal moon hath her eclipse endured, and the sad angers mock their own presage. We are shown views of immense beauty in nature, in the minds of others and in the closeness of others, yet death with a laughing face reminds us we will be torn from it soon, and nothing we accomplish will matter to anyone. The beauty we know is also transitory. Even the greatest of minds return to the dirt. Even those beautiful summer days will face the harsh winters. Even Mother Earth herself will someday be consumed by her own life-giving star. So, when faced with all this, can freedom still taste so sweet? When all is considered, freedom is daunting. To have complete control over an individual existence seems daring, exciting, but to claim freedom is to claim responsibility as well. However, this is no choice. We are all burdened from conception by the curse of freedom. We may even find it insulting to be responsible for actions with no consequences and no weight to them. Could it be suggested, then, that where indulgence in life is the religious man's temptation, the rejection of life is the existentialist's temptation? With complete freedom, the option is always there, looming, at one time both tantalizingly unthinkable and yet laughably achievable. The question is then, is this an act of defiance against this cruelty, or is this insulting to those who persist? And then, isolation. It would seem that every man is, in fact, an island, much to a John Donne's dismay. From the most hopeless and disillusioned with life to the most carefree and optimistic, we all know isolation. Ironically, it is a fear we all share. The likelihood of ending up alone terrifies us all, and it creates a desperation within us, for better or for worse. In the past, religions have promised the unison of two souls in the mortal world, and then acceptance into a wholly perfect and heavenly society forevermore, after death. Yet to reject this, as an existentialist must, what can you expect? There are no answers. The persistence of this question is overwhelming and becomes almost guttural to consider. Can that which is self-aware simply fade away? The fear of not fading away arises. To be left simply aware, even after our bodies stop functioning, and to remain aware until the end of time, entirely isolated with only your regrets and fading memories of a life you once led. The idea of an existence that would surely lead to insanity. And it is the unknowable nature of this question that feeds those fantastical and cruel fears. So, to accept existentialism is to accept a cruel existence. It is to approach the abyss and to stare in. It is often spoke that this manner of thinking is reserved for the cynics, the nihilists, perhaps even the sick. But consider for a moment that those who believe this approached these ideas as optimists, and the ideas, the questions they faced drove them to become the cynics, the nihilists, and the sicks that they are before us now. Is there tragedy in these people? That now they have accepted this inevitability, that now they fester this existential dread. They cannot return or recover. They can't return to the sweet bliss of ignorance. As you look at these people, screaming in desperation into the abyss, do you pity the state they are in? Consider the declaration of hopelessness, of meaninglessness, as you too must face the curse of freedom. Can death be sleep, when life is but a dream, and scenes of bliss pass as a phantom by, and transient pleasures as a vision seem, and yet we think the greatest pains to die? John Keats.